There we go. We are live. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to your favorite geeky podcast. Hey, today on the Geek Boutique, we have a very, very special guest. We got Mr. Matthew G. Taylor in the house, actor, stuntman. I keep wanting to call you a monster actor because of Nemesis, but really the reality of it is most of your roles have been you, not in creature costume, right?
Yeah, majority have been me. There have only been a handful of creature related where you wouldn't know it's my face being covered up by virtue of either some sort of prosthetic or mask or what have you. But yeah, so
good looking this guy is.
Usually, come on,
right? This man is. Are you out of your mind? Why are we putting a mask on this guy? Every producer must be like, whose idea was it to put a mask on this guy? Look at this dude.
Absolutely.
Hey, thanks for joining us, Matthew. We really appreciate you taking the time to be on the show.
True.
Joining us as always, my compadre, my co-host, Mr. Messiah Complex Cosplay.
The co-host of the
Good
Mo
day,
host.
sir. Good day.
Absolutely. Good day. Good day. Another great day at work. Been looking forward to this episode. Very, very excited. Had the great fortune to meet Matt at London Comic Con. We talked briefly, but
absolutely,
yeah, dude. I've been really looking forward to sitting down and getting into the nitty gritty about what you do and how you do it. So thank you once again for joining us today. We really appreciate you coming on, Matt, for sure.
Happy to be here, guys. Thank you for having me.
I've gotten that comment a lot over the last couple of weeks. A lot of people messaging me saying, "Oh man, really looking forward to you guys sitting down and hearing about Matt and blah blah blah."
Yeah,
so
that's awesome.
So yeah, thanks for coming on. Hey, listen, I think we have to start, at the beginning. How did you even get into acting? Like, what was it about acting that made you say, you know what, that's something I want to do for a living?
Wow. Well, to be honest, I was a police officer in the 90s, and I ran into someone at a restaurant, just happenstance, that I knew from my past, and he introduced me to. He said, "You got to look." And at that point in my life, I was a lot younger and prettier. Frosted tips and all.
Oh, we've all been there, my friend.
Yeah, we've all. Oh yeah, we have.
Oh, the 90s, gotta love him.
He introduced me to my agent, and he was a writer. His name was Frank, and he said, "You know what, you got to give it a chance." And I was living in the city at the time, and you know what, it was just one of those stories where it just, right place, right time, and it just, the momentum built quickly, but that's kind of how it started. Literally just a bump into at a restaurant with someone who was part of my agent's roster at the time, and my agent took me on, and I was fortunate enough to start booking a lot of commercials initially, but TV shows and everything followed soon after. And yeah, I mean, fortunate, and be it for someone that didn't have any training or real, at that point in time, ambition to get into the industry. The interest grew quick. The desire to keep working grew quick once I started working and getting more projects but yeah, just we'll call it a fluke almost, when you hear those stories, and with actors that just had no real, it wasn't on their radar at all to get into it, but it just, life takes its weird turn sometimes. So,
Matt, do you remember your first paid gig?
Wow.
I know that's a hallmark for a lot of actors that start in Hollywood. They remember that first time they actually got cut a check for their work.
Now,
do you remember what it was by chance?
Do you want to talk TV film or a commercial? Because it was, I think it was a commercial, to be honest. Well, it would have been a commercial. I started booking some commercials. Special K was one of the first ones I did. Was it the very first? I wouldn't be able to say without really applying a lot of thought into that.
No, that's cool. But then movie
Special
TV,
K,
what would have been your first then? What would you say with that one? Do you remember?
TV and film, probably. Oh, geez. It was a CBC production. I think it was. Oh yeah. We get that up here sometimes, right?
That's right.
It was a CBC. It was Edison. I think it was Edison Wizard of Light was one of my first things. Actually, I think it might still be on my resume. There's a lot of things that aren't on my resume, but that one still kind of stuck around just because I think it was one of my first parts. And yeah, I played Sando the Strongman.
Nice, awesome. Yeah, sweet. Yeah, CBC, man.
Hard to believe, I know, but yeah.
I want to run down quickly through some of the some of the things that you've actually been in that people may not actually realize.
Yeah.
Because when I looked at your IMDb up close, I was like, wait a second, he was in this?
Yeah.
Detroit City Rocks, The Skulls, Exit Wound. Well, Exit Wound, I think, is one of the things that, one of the first thing I knew of you was Exit Wounds.
Yeah, someone from YouTube said that right in the comments.
Yeah, Exit Wounds is brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, that scene was so good. I don't know how it was playing that against Steven Seagal, but that must have been.
It was a lot of fun. It was, almost surreal to a point too, working with him, or I say opposing him, because we had a couple scenes where we were essentially rivals
scene.
And fighting. The taser scene was the initial entry, or the initial introduction, for sure. I remember filming that well. I remember it well. And again, it was one of my, probably one of the first big blockbuster pieces I did, aside maybe from Detroit Rock City, but it was kind of Seagal's comeback piece, and he was kind of the first one that started that whole working with a rapper idea and theme, and he ended up playing that a little bit too much, but the movie, he was someone I grew up watching, so I won't go so far as to say he was an idol. He's not Schwarzenegger caliber, but he was definitely someone who I admired as a young man, a young boy growing up and watching him.
He's got a really interesting sort of, I want to say, reputation in Hollywood. How did you find working with Seagal? Without, obviously, I don't want you to like burn any bridges or whatever, but how did you find working with him as far as that goes?
Oh no, he was totally fine. He was respectful. I had no issues with him. He kept to himself. He had his own little kind of entourage of people with him, and you commonly saw that, or I've seen that over the years with different actors. We'll call them A-list or more predominant actors. They sort of travel with their own little group of assistants and confidants, etc. But he was decent. He was decent. He was very serious, and he approached his work that way. So. Good. But decent guy. I spent quite a bit of time around him just with the scenes I was in and seeing him on set. And, I ended up going to the premiere of that movie actually in Los Angeles. I was fortunate enough to go to that, and I saw him again there. So
nice.
that was an experience. That was a lot of fun. And walking the carpet. And,
was that your first premiere?
Yeah, that was my first premiere. Yeah.
And how surreal is that? You're in LA. You're on a red carpet. Like that must have been just. Like, are you kind of like looking down at yourself, like, what in the fuck is going? Like, what am I even? Like, that must have been just blowing your mind, eh?
Absolutely, it was. I'll use the word surreal again. That was one of those moments where, you kind of just pinch yourself and say, you know what, I'm part of this, and seeing other actors there. I saw Stallone there, and went to an after party. At a really nice place in LA, and there's a lot of people there as well, and so a lot of actors and stuff. So again, it was Seagal's kind of comeback movie, so it created a lot of buzz, and there was a lot of support for
it was huge
from Hollywood.
It was huge.
That's awesome.
No, for sure.
I mean, you've worked for so long in the industry now. I mean, you must have built some relationships with the people in the industry that carry you and help you grow, right? I mean, you must have a lot of those. I mean, they kind of become your family, right? Like my work, they kind of become my family. I'm assuming it's the same thing in the movie industry. Even though you're working on different projects at different times, I'm sure you probably stay in touch with people that you've met through the years. Have you not?
I have. You know what? I tend to stay in touch more with the guys that, who I've worked with, talent side, obviously, but guys that I've shared a lot of time with. Not so much the headliners in the productions I've done. I've gone along with everybody, but as far as relationships you usually build. I'm the type who will build a relationship over the time of getting to know somebody, and that usually comes with the person you're spending a lot of time with on set, or on rehearsal days and whatnot. So I've definitely got connections. They're good to have in this industry, absolutely. Being in Canada, somewhat handicaps you when it comes to certain productions, just because of your, maneuverability of getting to work in the States or getting down to the States and having the eligibility to work down there. I had a green card for a period of time, but I did rescind that just because there were certain requirements I wasn't, able to meet as far as living down there for so many months of the year, et cetera. But connections are a big part of the industry, and I'm grateful to have the ones I have. And if I could go back in time, I probably would have tried to build maybe a few more alliances with people, but that's not to say that I still didn't have good relationships with everyone. I can't say I've never not gone along with anyone on set or left a production with any sort of bad taste in my mouth about any one individual. So,
well, that brings me actually. Thanks for the segue right into my next question. What is your favorite role? What was your? I mean, maybe it was your favorite set experience or your favorite character, or like what was that favorite role of yours that you've played?
Oh man, people ask me this question. I should have the answer by now, and I do. Nemesis obviously is up there for sure, right near the top. That was a part that kind of stands out just because of the amount of time I spent on that production, both pre-production and during production, and then even post-production with doing work afterwards. And just getting to know the people I got to know on that set just by virtue of the number of days I spent on set. So it was a close group from the prosthetics and the prosthetics guys. Obviously, I got to know all of them quite well just because I spent so much time getting in and out of costume and whatnot. But as far as, being able to shoot the gun and just having a variety of different things that I was able to experience through that production was absolutely unique. Exit Wounds, going way back, circa 2000. I can't believe it when I say that. That was another great shoot. I mean, so many great actors on that film that I was fortunate enough to meet. And at sea. I mean, I did see last summer. That was probably as far as a crew and the people behind the camera I would have to say, close to them. I would put it at number one right now. I mean, just because it was such an awesome experience. And again, it was a show I spent a lot of time on, 7 out of 8 episodes in season 3. So got to know everyone well, and it was a welcoming group. And both cast and crew, both. I mean, it was phenomenal. And it's not that I ever have bad experiences, but obviously there's some that are just make it that much more enjoyable working.
Yeah, and C's huge right now, right? I mean, everybody's just freaking loving it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
I've heard good things.
Yeah.
But I haven't watched it yet. I'm not gonna lie. So
you haven't watched it?
No.
If you're only listening, by the way, guys, and you can't, or you're seeing it and Matt sitting down, and you haven't met Matt. Matt is what I would generously describe as a physically imposing gentleman. Matt, yeah. How tall are you, Matt? Just out of curiosity.
6'7".
6'7", and I won't
you
ask
feel
you
bigger than 6'7".
I'm not going to ask you for your weight, but you look like you might hit the gym once or twice every now and then. So just so you guys know,
I might have been there before this.
Matt is tall and fucking jacked. Just so you guys know, he's not just a good-looking guy. He's also a very physically imposing guy. Do you ever worry, Matt, that's even? I know you mentioned being in Canada maybe limits you, but do you ever worry that you might get? I don't know if typecast is the word I want to use, but I would assume you would want people to see you outside of just a huge, jacked, good-looking dude. You've clearly got some chops. You've been in the business for some time. Are you at all worried that you might get typecast? It's just a guy that plays big monster guys, even though, as we've already discussed, that's not your forte. That's just something that you have done.
Yeah, that ship sailed a long time ago. The typecasting is something you can't help. I mean, if you have a package, you're going to get put into a certain category. And I've always been physical and been a big dude. I've been, I've never not looked like I'd work out. And that said, yeah, you're gonna be used for certain projects more than others. Usually ones that involve some sort of physicality or where you have to play someone who's imposing or a creature.
So do you just lean into it then? Like just accept
absolutely.
It, lean into it? Yeah.
And you know what, you gotta roll with what you're given, and I've always embraced that. I haven't fought it because once the reality is at 6'7", I'm not going to be doing many rom-coms where I'm, leading with someone who's 5'7". So,
yeah.
Or 5, if I'm lucky, it'd be more like 5'4", 5'5", right?
Exactly. Yeah.
I did a movie called Gothica with Halle Berry, and you actually can see in the one or two scenes where I did several scenes with her, but there's one scene in particular where I'm putting her in her jail cell, and you literally see this from here down. It's just the reality of it.
And there's my shoulder right there. You can see my shoulder right there.
Exactly. So when they're casting, not that I went out for parts opposite Halle Berry, but even for smaller productions, they're going to just for shootability. They're going to want to size people up better. And then that's typically why, you see a lot of A-list actors as far as males go. They're not many are approaching 6'7". So, right. And that's just the reality. So you go with what you're given. I've gone with what I've had and what my assets are. And it's been my size. And that's been totally fine with me. I've enjoyed the ride, and I really, I would like to have been challenged more with those other types of parts, but again, you go with where you're best suited. And
that's
and it's always been 6'7" parts, and those those don't involve a leading lady. Sorry, guys.
No, that's fair. Did you take acting lessons at any point then, Matt? Did you get into that deep to it?
Oh yeah. No, I've trained. I had a coach, Bernadette. She was my coach for years. She lives in Mexico now. But she was remarkable, and I would use her quite often. I did do courses, but I found that I liked the private coaching better, and I would usually get an audition and then go and see Bernadette and spend time with her on each audition. So, and by virtue of doing that, you kind of get more out of it, in my estimation, than sitting in a class and with a group of other people watching other people get up and perform. So it's more of a private one-on-one, and I've always I've gained more from that sort of setting. So but for the years I've been in the industry, you have to you got to practice and hone your skills and bring out, find that ability to, read a scene and find out the nuances in the scene. And it's a lot of work. It really is. And it comes more naturally to some people and less naturally to others. And, I probably fall somewhere in the middle. So that practice definitely helped.
Just, you're so well spoken, you're so eloquent. So I feel there had to have been something that you were doing.
You're full of compliments, is what you are.
I'm being busted. A guy like you know what I mean? Like, I'm 6'2". I've never been as big as you are, but I mean, people see especially a big, jacked, good-looking guy, and they probably just think, "Oh, this guy's just that." You're clearly not just that. You're very well spoken. So I assumed. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. I'll stop gushing now. JS, why don't you ask a couple questions?
No, I mean that's okay.
Clearly just fanboying over here. That's all.
I appreciate the compliments. Not at all. Thank you.
I mean, I'm assuming the size had to have been a huge part in you getting the part of Nemesis.
Massively. No pun intended. It definitely was, an integral part of getting the part. And I had to, the audition for that was very physical. As you recall, the Nemesis didn't have a lot of lines. So it was more action, and I was all action and carrying the suit and be able to move in the suit and in a way that they wanted you to move. But I remember the audition for that was, the production, the producers were there, production manager was there, good friend of mine, Steve Lesescu, stunt coordinator. He was the one who brought me in for the audition, and it was down to me and another guy. And I think it was about probably a minute to a minute and a half, and we just had to basically just freestyle, show us what you have. And it was like a gymnasium setting. And they had a staff and some other hand weapons there to use if you chose to, and I grabbed a couple. My weapons I've always been decent with weapons, but my forte has always been open hand. So, and I just literally you just created your own routine on the spot, and like I said, it was probably a minute and a half, which is a long time to give it your all and kind of just make it look like you're doing something, you know what you're doing. But at my martial arts training, that's where that came in handy, and fortunately, they were impressed enough that the rest was history. I got the part.
So I want to talk about the suit. Okay, I need to talk about the suit. I'm a maker. I want to know all about it. I got a lot of questions. First of all, how early in the suit design process did they hire you? Like, was it one of those things where the suit was basically done and they put you in it and that was that? Or was it all started from, okay, they hired you, they're casting you, and then they start building and designing the suit off of your body?
Absolutely. The latter.
Okay.
Because it
nice.
it was a plaster mold.
Yeah.
So basically, went to a hotel room and they had a bunch of drop sheets. This is back in 2003, 2004. So quite a while ago. So before they had all the technology that they have now, and it was old school. And basically, I got plastered up head to toe. Even had straws in the nose for breathing. So not good if you're claustrophobic by any stretch, which I'm not, thankfully. And there was a whole body cast. Then they took that mold and then created the suit from that. So it literally covered every inch and angle of your body, or my body. So casting came before the suit because the suit had to be specific and fit. Again, they wanted it to look, as you can see, it was a lot of muscle enhancement in the suit, and they wanted it to fit like it was your body, and that was their intention behind it with the suit, so it didn't look like it was a costume. But a great process. It was, I enjoyed it. I like doing stuff like that, and the pre-production stuff can be a lot of fun if you're with the right crew. And the prosthetics guys were awesome. So Paul Jones created the suit, and his crew behind him was phenomenal. So I actually worked with a guy named Jay Deathridge. Shout out to Jay if he's on here. Again on C, he did prosthetics for C. So it's nice when you and I've seen him before that again, but most recently on C. And it's nice when you run into guys, because prosthetics world there's a lot of people in it, obviously, but it's still a small community. And I've done a lot of work with prosthetics over my career. So they were a good group of guys for Resident Evil. And the suit process was long. And
I was just going to ask, how long did it take from the time they cast you to the time that the suit's done, basically, and ready to wear on the show?
Yeah, I mean, the casting, again, the day they did the mold was a full day, and then it was involved going back to the prosthetic studio and getting hands done. That mask took a long time to get configured, and they had to make it, obviously safe because it was hard plastic inside. So start to finish, wow. Man, I would be throwing a number out, throwing a timeline out there right now, but it was easily probably four weeks anyway, from the point they started to the point that they had something to try on. And wow,
that's actually way quicker than I thought.
Well, they're working around the clock.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. They've got a whole crew working nonstop, right?
Right. So yeah. Exactly.
Oh yeah, no, they got a group of people in there. It's definitely a team that works towards it. And again, that 4 weeks could be a little off, but it was definitely a chunk of time, because I went in numerous times throughout that period to try on, retry, and a lot of fittings.
How heavy is that minigun prop that you've got up there in that picture behind you? I'm looking at that thing. I'm like, Jesus, that doesn't look like it's messing around.
Thing's wicked, yeah.
Was that a heavy piece?
That was about 200 pounds.
Oh, what?
I'm kidding. I was waiting for your reaction. It was 80 pounds.
Like you're just curling it there at the side.
Absolutely.
Like I got this.
And is it attached to you somehow, or are you literally just holding it in your hand?
Basically, it was. Yeah, it's not 200 pounds. No.
He says it's about 80 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was basically.
Even that seems excessive.
Yeah.
It was heavy. It was heavy, and you kind of wedged it into your body. But so a little fun fact trivia here for you. That was the gun that was used in Predator.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah.
No way.
Gun in Predator. Absolutely. Yeah.
The one that Jesse Ventura uses?
Yeah, but he used two hands.
That's dope.
Huh.
That's still dope, man. That's
you
awesome.
caught the two hand comment, right?
Oh yeah. Of course, he has to use two hands. Of course, absolutely. Yeah. Jesse ain't got nothing on you, Matt. Don't worry about that.
No.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so same gun, modified, obviously, but yeah.
That's wild.
It was obviously, geared and made to look like, an original. But yeah, it was about 80 pounds. It was definitely, there were sometimes lifting that was difficult and on the elbow and over time on the shoulder. But
yeah, because there's a scene where
adrenaline carries you
straight up.
Yeah.
There's a scene where you're holding it straight up and they're focusing on the gun firing for like 20 seconds, and it's like, oh my god.
Oh yeah.
Like, how long are you holding that thing up?
Yeah.
Like, holy shit!
How many takes is he doing that?
Well, and that's just it, right? It's not so much what you see in the final product; it's how many takes it took to get that final product.
Yeah.
Right, or the final shot. So, yeah, it was a lot. It was, my memory's short. I would do it again tomorrow if I could, but it was definitely. And I was a big boy then. I was probably, so I had a little more weight behind me to kind of hold that sort of gun the way I had to hold it. Doing it now would be a lot more strenuous. I was a lot younger then. I was probably about 303 1/4 at that point in time. So definitely had a little bit of weight behind the gun to be able to hold it up a little more effectively and over time.
Oh yeah, you're such a scrawny little guy now, Matt. Absolutely, for sure.
Yeah.
Hey, was there many revisions of the suit?
Revision wise, there was tinkering, but the suit was already kind of created by Paul. So the vision was there. It was just a matter of getting it to fit and getting it, tweaking it here and there for the adjustment and the fit than it would have been for changing it. Now, production always has their idea of what they want to see, and they may want something changed, a leather piece here, a leather piece there. But all in all, the vision was there. And then the suit was more or less already created before it was created. So it was just a matter of getting it to come to life.
I mean, it's one thing holding the minigun, but I mean, you full out fight Mila Jovovich in that thing.
Yeah.
How was mobility? I mean, obviously it looks like you don't have a ton of mobility, but how was it trying to do action scenes in that thing?
So it was corseted at the back. So basically like a shoelace at the back. So that pulled my posture back. So right there, your mobility is already, off kilter. So yeah, doing the action in the suit was difficult just because your mobility was restricted just by being in the costume itself. You would get used. I got used to it, obviously, but yeah, as far as throwing a punch and stuff, everything, they want it to be big to begin with on film. Everything always has to be big because they need it to read. But being in the suit actually helped in that regard because my punches had to be out wide for the most part. I did bring my hands in a little bit, but it was tough. And it was tough just because of the restriction and the movement, but there was so much silicone and just weight. And then the layers on top, the leather layers on top of that, it was heavy. So moving around definitely was a challenge at times, especially when you're in, the 14th hour of the day. But I may do. And again, I used the word adrenaline before. It's amazing how that kind of carries you through the day. And it definitely did that. So
you probably get real sweaty in that thing too.
Soaked, yeah, silicone, zero breathability. So they would put cold suits in. They'd have fans going, but yeah, I'd be drenched. It was a good cutting program. That shit.
I was bulking the ones with you before. That's a good way to cut it for sure. Yeah.
Absolutely. So,
yeah.
I lost a few lbs in that production.
Yeah, no, I bet you did.
Yeah, well worth it.
Yep.
Was it a massive process, like every morning having to get in a suit that, first of all, the fact that you're getting in a suit that you've been sweating in for like a month and then you have to get back into it the next morning, that in itself had to not be a lot of fun, but was it a big process actually suiting up and the mask and the makeup? Like how long are you suiting up versus how long you're actually filming and then having to take it all off?
Yeah, well, the mask would come off when we weren't shooting. So in between
that's okay. So you could remove it without removing the suit.
absolutely. Excuse me. The mask was separate in that regard, so it would come off. And they had a couple different masks. They had one with animatronics in it, where the mouth would move and the eyes would move, and then they had one for distance shots where wasn't the wiring portions in it for movement. So that was more the stunt mask for longer shots. But that would come off pretty much every time there was any sort of lull in the action. But the suit itself would stay on for most of the time I was on set. I would get in at the beginning of the day or night, a lot of night shoots, and.
Oh, hang on, Matt. We've lost you on the StreamYard. You went.
Hang tight, our YouTube friends. We will get Matt back. Worry not.
Hang on. What was that?
Yeah, the Instagram is still good, but we've lost him on the main feed here. So just give us a second, guys. We'll get him back on here. Say, shit, we got 30 minutes of it. I'm like, oh, we're on such a good run. He hasn't had any problems. And then boom.
Oh.
Hey, there he's back. Woo. All right.
There we go. And I realized I was on mute on YouTube.
Good. Yes, excellent.
Awesome.
So,
thanks for your patience, guys. We appreciate it.
There we go.
The joys.
So you were just about to tell us how long it took you to get into that crazy suit.
Yeah, it was about 40 minutes, give or take. They got it, and that was down to the streamlined, timing. After doing it for so long, so just a lot of the boots were separate, the cost of the silicone portion, the corsetting, getting everything done and adjusted, and it was about 40 minutes.
For some reason, I thought it was a way more of a process than that, because the suits. I mean, it's so intricate when you see it on TV, right? Like
totally, you would think, right? But it literally went on like a hospital gown.
Oh, really?
All backwards, and then corseted in the back.
Yeah.
Totally.
That makes sense.
Nothing I could do
you're
myself.
All seamless at the front, right? So
exactly.
Yep.
Is that something you even like doing? Like, is the suit, the creature acting, is that something that, I know we said at the top that it's not something you've done a lot of. Is it something you like to do, even though like you don't know that it's you unless you tell us it's you? But
everyone knows it's me now.
Exactly.
But to your point, for sure, you're on screen, you're not seeing you, but I see me when I look at it. Obviously, you know what? It's just a different. It's more physical. It's a different experience than acting in a typical scene where you have dialogue and you're just Matt, just with a different stage name or set name. There's pros to both, pros and cons to both, as with anything in life. But I do enjoy the physical portion of film, and that's been my bread and butter, as we talked about earlier. And that's what I embraced at a young age, and I knew that's what was going to carry me through and keep me working. So that's kind of my wheelhouse, right? It's just that physical part. For someone my size, I've always been able to move well, and that's gotten me a lot of the work I've done just through the reputation I built in doing the projects I've done, and people seen my abilities in that regard, and being able to wear a costume like that and perform and carry the weaponry and what we talked about as well. It does, take some coordination and patience and strength. So, you package that all up, and people start wanting you for things that maybe wouldn't have been thought of otherwise, just because these parts are very physically demanding. So.
That leads me to a question, Matt. I've been kind of curious. Yeah. So you've already been part of one huge IP with the Resident Evil series, but the way you're talking to your physicality, your size, your movability, and how you become a more physical actor and such. If there was another IP that you could be part of in the same level or even bigger, Hollywood comes knocking on your door and says, pick your IP, Matt. What do you want to do? Yeah. Where would you want to sort of take those skills that you've honed over the last 20 some years and put it towards another major huge IP? Like I'm looking at you and I'm thinking, how are you not into a superhero TV show or movie? It makes no fucking sense to me. Look at you. But I mean, what would you want to do, Matt, if given the choice of any IP out there?
Wow. I mean, you mentioned the superhero thing. That would obviously be cool to be part of.
Dude,
That
look at
whole
you. What are you kidding me?
industry. So,
Yeah. How are
there
you
was
not?
there was and like an anime series that came my way a little while back. It was called Badlands, and it was a character called Krieg. That would have been a fun part to play. And that just the timing and just it was shot overseas, so that didn't work out. But that was something that I would have loved to have. Thank you, Jamie. I would have loved to
Agreed, Jamie.
been part of.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Sorry for the people on Instagram. Jamie C saying Marvel needs you.
Yeah. And Jennifer, producer Jen saying Matt would have been awesome on The Walking Dead. Again, not wrong either.
Yeah. Is that show still on? Oh, it is.
Yeah, I think it's literally just ending like right now.
I know.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier too, Matt. You mentioned auditions. Can you give us maybe a little inside baseball? Any auditions that you may have gone out for that maybe you didn't get that you're really hoping you were, or auditions you had to like pass up, or roles you had to pass up on specifically because timing or whatever didn't work out?
Yeah. You know what? This summer I read a little bit. This summer wasn't as crazy with auditions, and I don't know if that was kind of a post-COVID thing or just a 6'7", 285-pound thing. But sometimes that's the reality, right? Being
Sure.
like we talked about the pigeonholing and whatnot. But and I shouldn't use the pigeonhole. That sounds negative. It's not negative. It's a good thing. I don't. There aren't any names or productions that come to mind when you ask me that from that question, but naturally I read for stuff and you get actually, let me back up. I don't get my hopes up. I learned a long time ago not to. You kind of shelf it, but you still think about it. And there's been a couple reads I did this summer that would have been nice parts to land, but for whatever reason, production has their checklist, and some boxes you check and some you don't, and if there's too many don'ts, then they're probably looking in another direction. So but as far as any names or productions that I've read for, it's 49 years old, my memory's not as good as it was yesterday.
Tell me about it, brother.
But you kind of just you put the nose in the back of your mind and you move on past them. And that's kind of how I've always approached this industry. So if you were to give me an hour and I was to go and pull some sides and some breakdowns, I'd be able to give you some more detailed information. But yeah.
Is it still a bit of a weird experience, even though you're 20 some odd years in the business doing auditions? Like, does that ever not? Because you're just you're just putting yourself out there and hoping that you're going to have all the check boxes like you mentioned that they're looking for. Is that ever not weird? I've got some other friends that work in the industry and the business, and they talk about even now 10, 15, 20 years in, they're like, it's still the weirdest experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know what? It doesn't seem like 26 years. It doesn't. Every time you do a read, it's not, you don't want to fall into that. Well, I've been in the industry for so long, you should just give me the part. You take the other approach, which is, you know what, I've got to earn this part just like I did back 20 years ago. So yeah, it's sometimes a little frustrating when you're being sent parts to read for that maybe, I was reading for this 20 years ago and I don't think I should have to read for this type of part again. But once you've been in the industry long enough, you know how productions work. Everybody wants their say in who gets cast, and they want to see, the players and who's in front of them, and they want to see how you're going to, perform with their production and their lines and their scenes. So it'd be nice to say, here's my demo reel. If you like what you see, cast me. That has happened for me in the past, but it's more the opposite. Those instances are farther and fewer between. So yeah, you gotta approach it like you're in year one, and I try to do my best to do that. I think you met me at the show, and you could see I kind of I don't carry the 26-year-old 26 years in the business rather expectation card. So
yeah.
I approach the industry with humility, and I'm grateful to get what I get, and what I don't get, I wish the person who did get it the best. And that's kind of the mentality and approach I've always had. And that allows you to kind of move past the disappointment and just look forward to the next piece.
Well, I think I even said something to you at London Comic-Con, Matt, that so many people had come up to us at our booth and spoke about how personable you were, how approachable you were, how nice and cool you were. What does that mean to you to come out to like events like that and get to interact with the people and the fans that recognize you from different properties and such? Obviously, a big team from Nemesis, but everything else. How cool is that? Because obviously you can't fake what you were doing. You were connecting with so many people. What does that mean to you to come out to events like that and connect with people that are fans of you and your work?
It means a lot, and the shows are relatively new for me, but they've opened my eyes to just the people that do embrace what I do. Because you can go online and you can see things online here and there. It's to actually be able to talk to somebody and have those face-to-face conversations, and just see how engaged they are with what I've been involved in 20 years ago. It truly is humbling, and I like talking to people. I like hearing their stories. I really do enjoy, even for a short period of time, just getting a glimpse into someone else's existence. And the shows really give you that ability, because everybody comes with zero inhibitions in that type of setting, and I really admire that. And just that's just people at their at their raw level. And like I said, I'm new to the show, so that experience is still new to me. I've only done a couple of shows, and I want to keep doing more, primarily for that reason. It was just a lot of fun. My throat was sore from talking so much, but that would be the only drawback from my experience there and meeting everybody. It truly was a great experience.
So you heard it here first, guys. So there's a post on Instagram right now from Fan Expo Canada asking what guests you would like at Fan Expo. This guy down here, recommend him to your local cons, wherever you are here, especially. I assume it's probably easier for you to get to Southwestern Ontario cons, but I'm sure if New York Comic Con came calling, you wouldn't be telling them no, right?
Absolutely not. No, I would take any opportunity to travel and go where I need to go. And I look forward to continuing with the shows and engaging with the fans. It's something that I really haven't been able to do a lot of. So
perfect. I'm hoping we're going to get to see you at some more. Absolutely. Because like 100%. I said,
I
everybody at London was talking about how great you were. So we definitely want to keep that momentum going for sure.
Yeah,
I appreciate that. I really do.
So that's Jamie C saying done. Fan Expo needs you.
There you go.
Jamie's on your side, man. I don't know who's Jamie C. We got to figure. Is that
Jamie C is
that producer Jen's sister? Is that,
yes, it's Jamie. Jamie. Yes.
Marvel needs you, and Fan
Jamie.
Expo needs you, Matt.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
There's somebody here on Instagram, Raccoon City Stories, asking, would you come back as Nemesis given the opportunity?
Absolutely. Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's a short answer. There's really no.
That one's easy. Yeah,
I enjoyed the part. Yeah, physically demanding, like we discussed, but no, without a doubt. Yeah, it would be a different experience this time around, just because of the physical requirements. But I can still hold my own.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk. He was so great to chat at London.
Again, just what we were talking about. Yeah. So Keith L, he was so great to chat with at London. Not intimidating to talk with at all. No. Yeah. So you stood beside him and you were like,
"Oh, well, yeah, exactly." Like, oh, shit, man.
Yeah. And I'm
like, we're not small people, and holy cow,
we're still. Oh, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
Sorry, JS, we cut you off. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. Listen, we're going down the personal path a little bit. So, you were born and raised in the GTA.
Yeah.
What are your stomping grounds?
Burlington, to be specific, for those.
Burlington. Okay.
Well, there's a lot of people on here that are from the area, so Burlington is where I was born and raised, and then I moved to Toronto as a young adult and spent most of my adult life there, and ventured out of the city about 10 years ago, just under 10 years ago now.
Were you into sports, or were you into? I'm assuming as a kid you probably were into basketball and hockey and anything in football, anything you can get your hands on, right?
I started martial arts at 11. I played soccer as a young child. Before that, parents put me into soccer and a little bit of hockey. And then I got into martial arts, which I loved, and I that carried me through to probably my mid-teens, and then the gym became kind of my main passion. And it started in my high school, then to the local YMCA, and from there, 35 years later, here I am sitting in front of you guys. So that's always been my zen place where I go, and you get those endorphins. They are a real thing, and they've carried me through some challenging times and kept me feeling still decent at this point in my life. So very, I use the word decent lightly. It's definitely
49
something
no
that,
joke,
yeah.
no, it's no joke, man.
Yeah, we get it, man. Get it.
Yeah,
But,
I mean, we're all in the same age group here, and I mean,
I get it.
some of us show our age at the waistline more than others, and by some of us, guys, I mean I do.
Okay.
But you, I mean, seem to be in the best shape of your friggin' life. I mean, like Jeff was saying earlier, when we met up with you at London Comic Con, you freaking jacked.
just a little bit, guys.
Yeah, just keep, and like there's so many years into it. It's just, but I've been fortunate enough, and I'm grateful that I haven't been slowed down by many injuries. Obviously, I've had my bumps and bruises along the way, but that's allowed me just to continue with a lifestyle that I've been able to maintain. And again, grateful I am just for being given the ability to do that, and my health has been good. And that's a big part of it, obviously. I've never had children, so I was always able to, I had more discretionary time to spend in the gym. And I understand for people that have families, that may not be the case. So yeah, that's allowed me to, be a little more selfish with my time too. And if you were, the selfish is the right word to use, but you guys know what I mean. It's, it's allowed me to kind of just stay in shape, and the industry's always been a motivating factor for me, because you never know when you get that phone call saying next week, are you available? I did do a lot of stunt work, and stunt coordinators. It's a different process. You get called and you may have to be on set even the next day, but most times it's within a week you're on set asking. They want one of the first questions out of their mouths is, what do you look like right now?
Right.
And that's the typical
So you always
question.
have to be on, right?
And that's always been my approach, is you never know when you're going to be called to task, and you need to be on set and look a certain way. So people remember how I looked in the last thing I did, and typically they want you to kind of look the same way when they call you a month or two or a year or two later. So that's always been something that kept me going as well, right?
Someone on Instagram was asking, Matt, which martial arts did you practice, or do you practice?
Goju-ryu karate is where I started, and that was again when I was a young boy. And then I've been fortunate enough through film to do different styles and train different ways, just in some of the things I've done, boxing included. And then I do a lot of freestyle just on my own, and that's always just been, it's kind of my thing. I didn't stay in karate just because of scheduling, and the gym was became my bread and butter in my later teen years. So I would do a lot of freestyle stuff on my own and train with buddies and go to their clubs at times as well. So but Goju-ryu karate is kind of where it started, and that's where it all began at the ripe old age of 11. The
tender age of 11.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, go ahead, Jess.
Yeah, well, first of all, Victoria's now online, the Dork Side, saying hi, friends. Actually, Victoria's going to be at the Cosplay Alliance meet at the Christmas market this weekend, so
nice.
That'll be a lot of fun. Yeah. Matt, I don't want to get too personal, but have you had to adjust how you train and how you eat and how you take care of yourself as you're getting older? Because I know the minute I hit 40, everything changed for me. It's very different than before 40. So have you had to change a little bit in your habits to be able to stay in the shape that you are?
Absolutely. It's not so much change. I started eating, diet's a big part of, maintaining a certain image or look, which, obviously I had to do over the years with film. But that said, I trained myself at a young age to try and eat clean, and that started back when I was a teenager. It really did, and it's carried through into my young adult life, and now right through to where I'm at now in life. I still enjoy, falling off the cart every once in a while, but I've always eaten clean, and that's, been, second nature to me, fortunately. And I know that's probably where a lot of people struggle is just the restrictions that come with eating clean. But you make that part of your lifestyle, and yeah, well, I battle with, again, there's times when, I just you get into a certain groove of eating a certain way, and I'm guilty of it too. But for the most part, it's been relatively easy, just because I started at such a young age to do it. And,
what's that sin treat, that sin meal for Matt Taylor?
Oh wow, it's gonna be a hamburger and a double patty. I think it's referred to as a Hulk burger. That would probably be my go-to.
Hell yeah.
Maybe some fries on the side. Yeah.
There we go. That's what I'm talking about.
Nice.
I had my first poutine. About a month ago. I'd never had
first? Your first?
Come on,
yes,
dude.
Guys. Yes. Come on, easy now. Easy. That's everybody's reaction.
That's crazy.
Sorry, you're cutting in and out. We're losing you, Matt.
JS is French. Like, you're really, it's not. You've insulted him, his heritage, his family, the whole 9 yards, Matt.
Can't believe it. Where was the poutine from?
In Quebec City.
Oh, well, there you
have it. That's a good place to have it.
Yeah, for sure.
And what was your experience? Exactly. Did you like it, or is it too much, or?
It was good. It was. I'm not gonna lie. It was
That's a good answer, Matt. Good.
I'm normally not a gravy guy, but it worked for me this time.
Yeah.
So
because and this is a discussion I have with people a lot. When you go to Quebec, the gravy in a poutine isn't really a gravy. It's more of a sauce.
You know what?
I know to some people that makes no sense, but it's not quite
Gravy's
a gravy.
Not a sauce? I don't. What do we know?
Gravy is a sauce, but a sauce is not necessarily a gravy.
I know what you mean, though.
You know what I mean, right?
No, I do. I have to bust his balls a little bit, man. That's what I'm on the show for.
Absolutely.
Hey, listen. Let's get back on topic here for a quick second.
Yeah, sorry. It's all good.
Matt, you've been in a bunch of stuff now, and you've been in all sorts of different types of productions, from more action based to stuff like Detroit City Rocks, right? Detroit Rock City, sorry. How first of all, is the preparation for movies like that a lot different, if any at all, physically or otherwise? And do you have a preference between the more active action movies versus something that's maybe more, I don't know, less action, let's say, less physical?
Yeah, Detroit Rock City. I'm glad you brought that one up. That was a lot of fun, and that has its own little following.
It does,
for sure. Oh yeah, yep. No, I've been called Chongo more times than I'll ever be able to recall, and even
it was happening in the chat too. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. No, great part. A lot of fun. That was one of my first. Again, and that was '98. I think we shot that. So that was back in. I started in '96, so that was early on. One of my good friends, I would say easily probably one of my best friends, Shane Daly, was shot that with me, and that's where I met him. So that part, I hold that part dear to my heart for that reason too. He's in the industry as well. But preparation for a role like that, man, there wasn't a lot for that one, just because I was young and still new in the industry. Now I trained and I done what I needed to do at that point to get that role. But what an awesome role it's been. It's one that's followed me through my career. But to answer your question, again, kind of going back to earlier conversations we had in regards to the physicality, that's always what I've embraced, because it's just that's what truly gets me into my roles. And most of the stuff I've done involves some form of physicality, even the acting parts, and that's always been nice. in the sense that I kind of get the best of both worlds. And it's allowed me to keep, even when I'm acting, to keep my stunt visibility up, because this, again, I did the stunt work and the acting. They're kind of two different worlds. And the stunt guys want to still see you doing stunts, and the film guys, the acting side, still want to see you act. So you kind of got to balance the two. So being able to do both in one production kind of gives you the best of both worlds. And I've been fortunate enough to have that sort of dynamic with most of the stuff I've done, to be honest. So.
You mentioned earlier, Matt, we threw Schwarzenegger out there. You mentioned getting to see Stallone briefly at the Exit Wounds. Who were your role models coming up through the business, especially? Obviously, you're a physical guy and you've taken a lot of action roles. Were those two sort of pillar? Are there any other role models that were for you coming up through?
You know what? I mean, those were Stallone and Schwarzenegger, obviously two huge names, and big for any boy growing up in the era that we all grew up in. And that's they were just more idols when I was younger than role models naturally. But when I got into film, I have to say that I never really mirrored myself or looked to any one particular actor, just because my roles have always been somewhat physical. So I guess I could have looked towards different more physically oriented actors for to get ideas. And that's not to say I never have, but I've always just kind of honed my own sort of direction, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, of course.
I can't say that I ever looked at any one actor and tried to mirror or get any sort of idea from what I saw from them. My coach was awesome, Bernadette, I mentioned earlier, and just allowing me to kind of pick up on the nuances I need to in scenes and be able to expand and perfect, for lack of better ways of putting it, my craft. It's far from perfect. But
none of us are,
definitely
no.
But I definitely learned a lot through her. And but I mean, that would be the answer I'd have for that. Would be not any one person in particular. There was one edition I did, and I can't remember what it was. It's about going back a while ago, but I did kind of mirror myself off of Javier Bardem, and that was in No Country for Old Men. And the way he played that was great movie.
Good. So good. Yeah. What are you pointing at me for? What's
this guy likes to play Javier Bardem?
Does he?
Come on,
I thought you wanted me to move over.
No.
Jeff over here is cosplayed a number of.
No. That's you're thinking Jeffrey Dean Morgan because they.
Sorry, Jeffrey Dean Morgan. You're right. I do get them mixed up. You know what? I do get them mixed up. Hey, listen. Now that I made a fool of myself, there's a couple Instagram questions here. Ali Cosplay, first of all, getting a little personal. Asking how many calories do you need to intake to maintain that muscle mass?
Oh, not enough. That's always been my. Here's my another pun. Nemesis. With my diet, it just has just busy days and schedule and coming and going. I travel with food a lot, but short answer, I would say I try to do 3,000 to 4,000, but I know that's a pretty big range. But that's kind of where I sit. It should be more. But
that seems low for you hear athletes sometimes eating like 10,000 calories or stuff like that, right? 3 to 4 seems.
You know what? I've never had a huge appetite. I've never really had a huge appetite consistently, so I can go without eating and not be that grumpy bear. And that's just a lifestyle and what you get accustomed to. So I do eat, and like we talked about earlier, I do eat clean, but never enough. But I would say on an average 3 to 4. 3 to 4,000. Yeah.
Very cool. Our prairie buddy here, Kid Remington, is on the Instagram as well. If you had a choice, hero or villain, any preference?
If I had a choice of a villain.
Yeah, hero or villain.
Hero or a villain.
Hero or a villain. Wow.
Say villain.
It would be cool. It would be cool to play Jason. Not gonna lie.
Whoa, yeah, dude. Look,
As in Jason
Voorhees. Yeah, dude.
Yes,
Come on,
yeah,
right there.
Yeah, so there you go. You got it. Yeah.
Yeah,
that'd be something.
A neat opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm up for that. Hey, who'd I have to write to get that to happen? Holy cow!
Yeah.
Well, there's another one's bound to happen. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
For sure.
Like the property never dies. It's always
no,
out there,
exactly.
No.
Yeah.
There's another comment here from Matthew G. Taylor. Funny enough, hey Matt, this is your agent Jen. See, guys, Matt has a Jen as well. Shout out to the Geeks & Co. for making this happen. They've been fantastic to work with. Geeks & Co. You rock. Thank you so much, Jen.
Thanks,
really
Jen.
appreciate that.
That is very nice. Thank you very much.
Hi, Jen.
What's the most all-around difficult role you've taken? Raccoon City Stories is asking. Is there one role that was more difficult than the others all around? So not necessarily just physically, but mentally. It could be anything.
I did. Probably Umbrella Academy was one of the more challenging ones, and that was last summer as well. I played a Samurai Warrior. There was 3 of us. It was in the final 3 episodes of that series. And I played one of the Samurai Warriors, so I had to learn how to move like a samurai, which took a bit of work. I haven't done a lot of swordplay, more broadsword work in my career, but samurai, completely different animal. So that was challenging. Fortunately, I had a lot of opportunity to rehearse and practice. But that was as far as recent shoots go, that would be one. I'll give you another one. Pacific Rim. That was a tough one. That was more of a stunt part. I doubled and I stunt acting part. So I played on the boat at the beginning, kind of the reveal of the first first
kaiju coming out of the water.
Thank you. Yes, the word was escaping me. Yeah. Thank you. And then I doubled an actor called Robert Mayette, great guy, good friend, and he played the Russian captain. So Rob has some movement issues, just being age, and he's an ex-wrestler, so he's got some injuries he's dealing with. So they brought me in to double him because he's a big dude. He's a few inches taller than me, and doubled him, and that was a challenge because the way that they were strapped into I think it was the head of the kaiju, and we were basically in like an elliptical type machine that weighed a ton, and then they were wired up and geared, and there was just very broad movements, but very heavy, very restricting, and the leg movement was just something I'd never experienced before. Very challenging, and you had to be timed with your co-pilot. So the two of us, Alicia Turner, I believe, was the other stunt actor on that, and her and I had to get our timing down, and
so you're in the Jaeger. You're in the robot.
You're in one of the actual Jaegers. Are you really?
Yeah.
That's I can see how physically crazy that would be to. You're right. You're on some big
dance,
rig,
right?
And
but
then you've got to be.
Dance.
Yeah. It's like synchronized swimming. It's crazy.
Yeah. Everything had to be timed down, and just heavy movements. So.
No, that's fair.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You brought up.
Melody is saying his agent Jen is awesome. Get him into Marvel movies, Jen.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. Could not agree more. We'll have to have a poll. We'll put something up on the Geeks & Co. channel as to what role you think Matt should be cast in the MCU.
There you go, producer Jen. We need a new poll.
Yeah, I've got a few ideas myself, so maybe drop a comment below on what role you think Matt should be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So
there you go.
Yeah. Sure.
You dropped Umbrella Academy, which we hadn't had a chance to talk about at all. Is that also here in Toronto? Like, was that filmed here?
That was shot in Toronto. Yeah. Fortunately, it was the same studio. It was C. They were down on Kipling in Toronto.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, really?
That
worked
going
out.
Between both at the same time. It totally worked out.
Yeah.
And that was during COVID too, so it was a lot of COVID going in for COVID screenings. I made a lot of trips to Toronto last summer, and it was definitely a godsend that they were both at the same studio. I don't know logistically how I would have worked it out otherwise. So.
Where are you based out of now? Sorry, where are you based out of now, Matt?
Yeah, both at the same time. Yeah, C went longer, but yeah, Umbrella went for a while just because a lot of the rehearsals with the getting the samurai portion down. So, sorry, I missed that last question.
Are you not in Toronto right now, Matt?
Am I in Toronto right now?
No. I mean, you're not living in the GTA
I can't tell you
anymore,
where
right?
I am.
No. I know you can't tell me where you are. We need
He's
your
at the
exact
corner
address,
of.
No, you just kept on saying like I had to go into Toronto a lot. So I'm assuming you're not like specifically in Toronto.
Not
That's not
in the
your days
city
these days. Yeah.
But you're in the GTA.
I'm in the GTA. Just north.
You are in the
city.
GTA still. Okay. That's more. Yeah, it's not looking for the exact address.
I'm just busting
not going to stalk you,
brother.
Matt. I promise. Looking out his window 2 hours from now, there I am stuck on the side. Yeah, what a fucking nerd. Jesus, terrible. Bring back Zach O'Toole just one more time. There we go.
Yeah.
Is this the missus? Is this Melody? Is this the missus?
No, that's my sister.
That's your sister. I got you.
Yeah.
She is, wow, that's another. You got lots of cheerleaders. You got lots of people on your team.
I do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So a lot. Like I was noticing.
The missus is Jen Henderson, by the way. So
there you go.
One and the same. Yeah.
Yep.
Producer Jen's mother worked in the industry for a long time. I forget what her official title was, but she was the person in charge of dressing people. She didn't make costumes, but she was in charge of dressing people's suits. Wardrobe. Yep. And a lot of productions that you've worked on, she has at one point or another worked on, and that's why I was like, wait a second, these are all in Toronto. Well, not all of them, but obviously there's so much going on in Toronto. Is there even a need to go for, auditions outside of the city?
Don't they shoot The Boys in Toronto now too?
They shoot so much here. It's crazy.
I believe so. Yeah. No, you'd be surprised how much has been shot in Toronto. I mean, you don't see the skyline most often in the films the productions that are shot here, just because they don't necessarily want people to know it's in Toronto. But a lot is obviously shot here. The studio space is vast. And I'm sure. So, what was the name? Did you give a name for the wardrobe connection you had?
Her name is Gaynor Walterhouse.
Gaynor Walterhouse. No, Gaynor. I want to say.
And it's funny because we asked her if she knew you. We showed her a picture of you, and she was like, "Oh."
She said no.
She's like, "I don't think so." Which is funny because she's worked on Skulls. She worked on DRC. She worked on.
Then I would have met her absolutely, and you'd run into people all the time, and you know in the industry, like I said, the prosthetics guys I know so well because I've worked with them, a lot of them so often throughout. But wardrobe, same goes for wardrobe. You'll run into people again because they all go from gig to gig to gig, and obviously that's their livelihood, and that's how they function. So you're going to cross paths with a lot of people. And 26 years in, absolutely, I've done just that.
And there's so many people involved.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
like how many people are involved in a show like Nemesis, right? Like the production team is.
When you're on set and you kind of just sit back and look at how many pieces and moving parts there are, and moving parts by moving parts, I mean people. It's really remarkable. For the budget, what it must cost, and I have some sort of idea just through my experience in the industry, but just the coordination that's involved. It's for anyone who hasn't had the opportunity to be on set, it really isn't something you would even be able to fathom or think. You wouldn't even think. But when you see it, it's remarkable how well it can be, how much of a machine it can be, or the opposite. But most times it works out well. So
yeah, that's good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can imagine when the shit hits the fan during the middle of production, that's probably not a good time. That's for sure.
And I've been around when it has happened. I haven't been part of it, touch wood, but you've seen some balls get dropped, absolutely. So
hey guys, we've been on for over an hour. We don't want to keep Matt all night, but Matt, can you, before we start logging off, can you tell us if or in what you're working on right now? Is that like a big secret?
You know what?
Or
there's a couple things that are in the works, and you know what? I hate to disappoint those who are listening, but I don't want to spoil. Speak too early, and they're just I'm kind of sworn to secrecy on one end, and I just don't want to jinx myself on the other. So I'm not actively working as we speak, so I'm not logging off here and going to set, but hopefully that that
get some irons in the fire. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Everything, you know what? Nowadays, everything with NDAs, like you have to.
Yeah, you got to be really careful.
Oh, you really do, and
Yeah.
Keith is asking, and I know and the reason I'm taking this last few questions is because you've told me the story. So Keith is asking, have you kept anything from any of the shows, movies you've done?
Have I kept anything? Hey,
yes.
Keith. Yes, you know what? I should have brought some props. I didn't even think of it, but I don't have the minigun behind me. Sorry. But yeah, I don't think I would be
they'd be knocking on your door for that one, Matt. Yeah.
Yeah, they probably would be.
Yeah.
But I have been, fortunate enough to get to collect some props over my time in the industry, and I do have some stuff displayed proudly at home. So knives, swords. I kept a few things from sea actually most recently, which was neat. Got more from that than I ever expected to. And just the backers from the talent shares too, with your name on it and the production name. Those are kind of cool to get.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, no, I've got a little mini collection of stuff going, for sure.
See, Chongo, man, Chongo's hair. Did you get to keep Chongo's hair? You're right, man.
Yeah.
That never dies. Guys. That moves from 1998. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
That's awesome.
Yeah, and that wig, another fun trivia fact, was apparently, I can't speak for sure or refer to what specific production, but I was told back then that Will Ferrell wore that wig.
Oh, now we're talking.
Really?
Now we're talking.
Yeah.
Nice.
Now again,
Nice.
I don't have a provenance to show you, but
that's wild.
That's what awesome. I was told.
Yeah, sweet.
Are you already working on cons that we might be able to see you at next year or in the next little while? Is there anything in the works already? I know it's early. We're still trying to figure it out.
Jen is working diligently and communicating with many different individuals right now to try and secure some spots. I'm not attending any more this year. Things have kind of slowed down in that regard anyway, and my schedule isn't such that it would allow me to do a lot between now and the next couple of months anyhow, but hopefully not too far into the new year we'll get that fired up, and I look forward to that. I really do.
Reminder,
we really hope we get to see you.
Yeah, ask for
Thanks,
Matt,
guys.
absolutely. For sure.
Yeah,
put the
definitely
word out,
write to your local cons, let them know
Yep.
you want to see Matt. We want more of him at the cons for sure.
Yep.
Beavertail73 on Instagram is asking what's the most difficult character to play. I think you've already answered that a little bit.
Absolutely.
Nemesis is definitely up there, guys. I would say, as far as character and specific characters and notable parts, I mean, Nemesis obviously the one that would have been the most physically demanding for as long as it went on, and the types of hours I had to work through that production. So without a doubt, that would be number one for overall difficulty as far as physicality.
Not to mention one-handing that minigun around, that's for sure.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Not two hands, man. That's right.
One hand.
One hand.
Jesse two, me one.
Jesse two, you one. That's right. That's right.
Hey Matt, listen, thank you so much for being on, man. It really appreciate you coming. I mean, this was awesome. Anything you want to pitch?
Fun, guys.
Maybe let people know your Instagram or
where can people see your work or find you or get a
Yeah.
hold of you for gigs and such, Matt? What's the best way to do that?
So through my my Instagram would be the best way. And Jen's just standing here right now, so she's gonna fill my hair with stuff.
There you go.
So come here, Jen.
Yeah.
So they need Instagram.
So Instagram is Matthew _G
Taylor. Yep. And Facebook is forthcoming. So yeah, Instagram. I'm relatively new to the Instagram game, guys, and you know what? That's one thing I'm remiss about is not getting into that part of it sooner. But this old guy, was kind of set in his ways with how I promoted myself. I used to have a website back in the day, MatthewGTaylor.com, and that got a lot of action long before IG and all the platforms we have now. It was back in the day when websites were the kind of the go-to, and so yeah, I'm going to start hitting the social media harder, especially now I'm doing the shows and getting the word out there better that way, and embracing it. So we're all creatures of habit, and I'm guilty as charged, when it comes to being a creature of habit. So, get on my Instagram, guys, and follow me there, and good things are going to come for sure.
And guys, we hear you. They're seeing on the Instagram. Please get Matt back on the podcast.
Oh my gosh, I didn't think I was in there.
Hey, Jen. Yeah, she's ready to shot now. And of course, if we do get to see Matt, or when we get to see Matt at a convention that the Geeks and Company were at, we will absolutely talk to him live at an event too, like we did last time, like this whole thing started. So fear not. Hopefully you will see Matt shining face here on the podcast again at some point or another, either live or maybe we can talk him into coming back the next time he's got a project to go.
Guys. It's been a lot of fun. You guys
again. Come back for another episode of the podcast, Matt?
No, absolutely. Sure. No, Matt, we really do appreciate the time you took out to spend the time talking with us tonight. And I know all the technical bullshit that we had going on to get this all set up, but you're
we got to work
all the way through it. So yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
that's what's important.
Shout out to Martin.
Martin is
at Birchview Dunes Public School.
Yeah,
and to,
Martin the tech guy.
And to Jennifer, for setting this up. She was awesome, guys, and I know your communications with her were is what led to this happening. So thank you to Jen too. So
the Jens. Let's be honest, because
two Jens. That's
producer Jen
right.
and agent Jen. Yeah.
Absolutely, both Jens.
It was the
Jens.
Sure. Yes.
Thank you, both Jens. Absolutely, guys.
Jeff, anything you want to talk about? Pitch?
Just here in London, Ontario, where I'm at on December 3rd, we're going to have the Geeky Holiday Market at the Covent Garden Marketplace. It's London Comic Con that's actually going to be putting that on. So that's a one-day event. Lots of vendors. I'm going to be there. Some other fellow cosplayers are going to be there. We're going to have some photo booths set up. So come get a picture with Batman and Superman, whoever we've got set up for that particular event. And that should be the last event of the year, that December 3rd event. Again, in London at Centennial Hall. Tickets are already on sale. I think it's cheap. I think it's literally $5. So just come on out to the show, get some last minute gift ideas for your Christmas and all that good stuff. So it'll be fun. Doctor Who Society will be there. Like all the usual suspects will be there, guys. So come on out for that. And I think that's the last event of the year, man. And then we're starting gearing up for March Toronto Comic Con.
Toronto Comic Con.
Yeah.
Same for us. It's this Saturday, Toronto Christmas Market, Distillery District. So during the day, we've got a Cosplay Alliance meetup. We've got some photographers coming. We've got a bunch of cosplayers coming for a Movember-themed meetup. So guys, again, if you're in the Toronto area, put on your fake mustaches or real ones in the case of Mr. Jeff over here. Come and take some pictures. Then we're doing a little bit of an after party at the Brew Pub, like I was saying earlier. And then in the evening, we're doing a Cosmos at the Christmas market. So we're actually going to be doing
the Predators.
Santa Predators.
Nice.
We've got Santa Predators coming. We've got Jessica Rabbit. I don't know if she's going to be like a Jessica Rabbit elf or whatnot. But anyway, we've got a couple people coming with their Santa-themed costumes. So, guys, if you're coming, come and hang out. There's going to be a lot of people. The decorations. The tree lighting is tonight. Actually, we missed the tree lighting. It was just about 20 minutes ago. So, should be a fun time in the Christmas market. But I think that's going to be it for tonight. Thanks again, everybody, for watching. Matt, it was a pleasure.
Thanks again, Matt. Appreciate it.
I hope we have you back. Stick out. Don't hang up right away, Matt. But guys, thank you very much. Thanks for watching. Stay geeky. We'll see you next week.
See you later, everyone. Thanks for hanging out.